got one stiffener rib in, or stiffener, I don't know what you want to call it. A huge gusset, basically. It looked like this over here. And we welded a 7-inch by 3/8 by 70-inch long piece with a little bit of a bend in it. And kind of, it's a Chris Wolf idea I stole from him. Tied it into the vertical support for the rear cylinder mount. And then I welded it continuously. I was going to stitch weld it, but I thought I didn't want moisture in there. And that was part of my problem. You'll see some welds right here, here, and here. Had some bad porosity blow out there. What was happening is that's pretty tight fit. Both the top and the bottom seam were pretty tight. And as I was welding, there was steam pressure being built up because we had some rain showers come through, and it was blowing steam through the weld puddle, and that's not a good thing. But I'm going to show you here what we do on the other side. Yeah, this was the big gap of a weld. It was not pretty. I tried to fill in some of the undercut that I had. I don't know. I got a lot of spatter I got to clean up. I'm just using this diamond wheel on this 4-inch grinder and just touching it, and it just pops off pretty good. I tried scraping it with a Wonder Bar, and that didn't quite get it. But yeah, the chunks that are harder to get off, I use that grinder, and that works really well. Here's the deal. The log lift is going on this side. The cradle is going to go on that side. I want to put the cradle on here before I take it to sandblasting. I would also like to get my hinge points for my offshoot table here and some angle welded on here as stops before I send it off to sandblasting. So we're gonna need to rotate this beam 180 degrees. My thought is I'm gonna hook a chain through here and then over on the clevis end, and we're gonna give it a spin. I have to get it I have to have the chain low, like it has to be tight right here because I don't have enough clearance otherwise. So let's drop this through. We may have to wrap this chain. I only have like a 20-foot transport chain. I think it's gonna spin all by itself. There we go. Let's give her a little spin. I'll probably have to bring the trolley over this way. Yeah. We'll pull the trolley this way. Well, this is not working out the way I expected. Maybe if I swing this out. There we go. Alright, that did work the way I was hoping. I'm going to bring it so this is sitting right on the edge. Yeah, it's to the point it's almost impossible to move this thing by hand. That worked out good. Probably need to get a shorter chain and drill a hole through that guy. It'd be, or put a lifting eye on it. Maybe that's what I'll do, is put a lifting eye on that. Hey, at least this weld held, and we didn't tear the rear cylinder mount out, so that's a good thing. All right, for this log cradle, I'm going to use this 2.5-inch square tubing here. It's a quarter wall, and I have a piece of 4-inch, I believe that's 4-inch. Yep, 4-inch flat bar stock. I'll make 2 L-shaped brackets that come out, allowing clearance for the pusher, and the cradle will stick up. I'm gonna have the bottom edge about even with the top of the beam. So I'll work out the geometry, but I'll probably have it about like this, maybe at about a 30-degree angle. 30-degree angle tilted up. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to play this one by ear. I'll probably put a gusset on the inside of each L and one, if there's room, down. That's what I think I'll do. Kind of a design as you go. We have a 24-inch stroke. So that brings the front of the push plate when it stops right there. And if you can see, that'll give us a little bit of clearance. I think we want about a 20-inch. So we have a 24-inch, so this is center here. Let's go 10 inches either side of that. We'll come back, let's say an inch. Should be. That should be 20 inches. And this is 2.5. Does that make sense? All right. Good. I don't know if necessarily I want to make 3 supports, but I may have to. Let me think about this. Judgment call. Let's make 3. All right, here we have the cradle. This is for the operating side. It's going to be, this is it. This is everything. This over here are pieces for the log lift side of the cradle. These are 7.5 and those are 7. I want that side a little bit closer. Since you're not operating on that side, you're less likely to get your fingers pinched. So those are a little shorter, keeping the gap a little tighter. This, I wanted enough gap that as long as there wasn't wood or something in between the rail or the beam, the edge of the beam and the edge of the cradle, that you're not going to get your hand pinched if the pusher comes back. And just one less pinch point, or likely pinch point. That side will be a little tighter since you're not going to be over there as much. I can always weld something in here to make it less of a gap, or open that side up a little bit, more of a gap. But I'm going to gusset each end. This will be the side that's closest to the splitting wedge. This side, they'll have a gusset there and there against the face of the inner part of the beam. And I'll do the same on the other side. So if I weld it like that, I'll be okay. That's what we're gonna do. We'll come back a 1/4 inch. See what this does. Ooh, look at that. That is like perfect. I couldn't have planned that better. I'm gonna tack this on. I can get to these and weld them. Yeah, I think this is gonna work. Maybe. Bingo. It's right about there. You can see that, but my eyes, my old guy eyes, say that's money. And my fingers say that's hot. Let's get this guy welded on here. Let me think here. Yeah, I'm gonna just take this piece here. That'll be easy. C-clamp this here. Clamp that thing there. Call her good. Yeah, that'll work. And this will be the bearing surface for the table, push-off table. 2 of them finished. Those are the ones that are going to go on here, and we'll weld those on. We're heading down to Amish country to get the log splitter sandblasted. Yesterday, it was supposed to go to another guy, and that turned into a real fiasco. I'd been in contact with a fella, and he was gonna blast the beam. I initially said, hey, I'm ready to bring it over. He's like, well, I'm heading out on a cruise, so I won't be home. I'm like, oh, great. When are you gonna be home? He goes, I'll be home Monday. Give me a call. I said, okay, what's your lead time? Oh, it takes 4 hours. That thing will take about 4 hours. I'm like, okay, I'll drop it off, no problem. Monday rolled around. I made a phone call, said, hey, I'm ready to drop the beam off. He goes, well, yeah, drop it off. I'm not home. I'm out on the road still, and, I'll get to it next week. I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I'm kind of up against the weather crunch. This time of year, it's first week of October. Things can go south real quick. I'd like to get this thing painted. That was my thought. So I immediately, after I hung up the phone with him, started trying to find another option. And that took pretty much the whole morning. Multiple leads led to another lead, led to another lead, and finally I found a place, an Amish guy. He does this kind of thing. He has a really kind of a nice setup, and we're taking it to his shop. He says he can get it done today or tomorrow, which would be perfect. But here was the problem. The original guy wanted all the push-off table and the log lift in individual parts. He didn't want it welded together. He said it'd be easier for him. Once I had all the weldments on the beam that I thought I needed, I went ahead and palletized the steel and got it ready to go. And wouldn't you know, when I talked to the guy that I'm taking it to today, he would prefer to have everything welded up. So I spent yesterday evening until probably 11:30, 12 o'clock last night getting most of the welding done on the push-off table. I have to put the sides, the troughs on. It's just going to be what it's going to be. I'm not going to have him prime that. He is going to prime the beam, and there are 3 more weldments that I have to put onto to the beam, but I'll just touch that up, and that's okay. But I'm looking forward to getting this thing blasted, getting a coat of primer on it. When I get it back, we'll start the painting process on it. There are a couple more weldments I have to put on it. We'll do that, touch up the primer, and then get some paint. Maybe tip it out. It wasn't really made for this. Lift it up a little. Go ahead and set it down. Now curl it out a little and go in. That should get you. time we see that, it should have some primer on it.